Hello. Okay, so now, last time we went through how to set up the liquid section of the water chemistry set. Now we're going to go through the air hose section. Okay, so first of all what you want to do is you take your water chemistry set and you find, let's aim this at the scuba tank. Doo-doo. Okay, get yourself a scuba tank. Usually we lash this to something like a pole on the ship. Okay. You're also going to want to find your scuba regulator, brought to you by Scuba Pro. Your length of tube that goes from your regulator to the secondary fine-tune regulator, and then the length of tube that goes from that secondary regulator up to the top of the Niskin bottle. Often these guys look like this. Oh my god, tubes. Okay, so what you'll see is that you have a fairly stiff piece of tubing on one end, and then on the other end you have tentacles of 4 quick clip end pieces. Right? They're going to clip onto 4 Niskins, which makes up half of the water chemistry set here. Okay, I'm not actually going to do 4 right now. I'm just going to do 1 Niskin for demonstration, so we'll put this to the side. Alright, like that. If you want, you can mix and match how many of the, depending on how many Niskins you have, you can unplug and plug in varying number of those little tentacles. Okay, so go back to here. Alright, actually, let's do it this way. Alright, so here we have a scuba tank. First of all, we're going to unscrew, this is the standard scuba regulator, so it's going to take that out, take the witch's hat dust cover off, and just slide it onto here. But before I do that, I'm just going to show you really quickly one of the coolest things about this. Alright, so Mark Hatte puts these really awesome quick release connectors onto the air hoses. So what you do to put the hose in is you slide the hose into the quick connector, and you'll see when I pull on it, it doesn't come out, it just pulls this little ring out. If I want to release it, I put pressure onto that little ring and pop. Super easy. Pulling it without pressing the ring doesn't work. Pulling it with the ring, it releases. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to connect that and then put my regulator onto the tank. Alright, next step, I want to connect my scuba tank to my intermediate regulator by putting it into the little dude here that has a valve on it. Okay, to the red line, like that. And you'll notice again, this is one of those quick connects where if I put pressure it comes out. Okay, so now I've got it hooked up like so. Right? Okay, then what I want to do is I want to take the tube that the air goes from that intermediate regulator and I want to plug it in like so, same as the other one, and then this tentacle is ready to roll. Okay, so that's how you connect the air line. Alright, the next thing I want to do is actually put a Niskin in here. So back to the water chemistry set. Here's a Niskin that we borrowed from the Dinsdale lab up the hall. Now the way you do this is you take it, you pull the little strap out of the way, and then see these little nubbins sticking out here. What I want to do is there's a little area in here that's recessed. What I do is I place the Niskin bottle onto that nubbin so that that little recess catches. Alright, then I take this bungee up here, I pull it out along and into the neighboring slot. There's crenulations all along here, and so now my Niskin bottle is held in place by that nubbin at the bottom and the bungee at the top. Okay. Then what I do is I take my little tentacle and at the top, what I do is I take my little dude and I clip it on. Listen. Ah, satisfying click. Okay. Then, because I want to run my water chemistry, obviously I need to run my water out. The bottom here, let's get this out of the way. I need to connect the quick connect that runs to the outlet here, which holds my filter, to the Niskin. So I just do that by slotting it onto the little petcock at the bottom here. Okay. So now my Niskin is connected at the top by my airline. So let's just trace the flow of air and water. So the air line runs from my scuba tank over here, run, comes over to my intermediate pressure gauge here, then, and this is how I control the pressure of air that actually flows out of that pressure gauge up into my Niskin bottle. Then when I ram water into here, into my Niskin, it pushes the water out the bottom, through my little tube here, along and up into where the sample is held here. Okay, let's just move this around a bit just to see if we can get a better angle on things. Alright. So, it looks like there's just tubes everywhere, but all we have is one setup connected here. Alright, so what I'll do to simplify things is I'm going to take these guys off, just so you can see more clearly. Okay. Alright, so let's just go through that one more time. Okay, scuba tank, regulator, quick connect, air line that runs along, up into the valve here, that then feeds into the intermediate pressure gauge, that then regulates the amount of air using these bleed valves here. The pressure of air then runs out the line, along, under here, up to the top of my Niskin, where it's just clipped on. Then air will get forced down through my Niskin, which displaces water down into this hose here that runs along, up into the back of my little sample holder here, pushes water down through the elbow, along down in through here, through this spigot here, down to where my sample filter holder is, and then my sample sits here. Any excess water then runs out into this basin here, and then out through this drain. Alright, the last thing to know is, before we turn the pressure on, is that you want to open the bleed valves, both bleed valves, completely before you pressurize the system. Okay, then you'll find that this guy here, the high pressure one, has very, very rapid effect on the pressure in the system, and this one is more of a fine tune. Note here that the maximum PSI you want to get is 5, which is straight up right here. Okay, if you overpressure it, then what can happen is the top can pop off your Niskin, and it's really unpleasant and bad for your sample. Alright, so that is how you set up the air side and Niskin side to the water chemistry setup.